Hello everyone and welcome. So in this video I wanted to talk about underpainting and my experience with it. This video was filmed a while ago, so this was quite a while ago that I did this painting, but I still wanted to talk about it. So before I started this portrait, I did a couple of quick little sketches and painted them in to see if I would like the effect underpainting would give, and I did, so I decided to try it on a bigger portrait piece just to see if I would like the way it looks with my style. And even though I didn't complete this piece, not really at least, I did like the effect underpainting gave my work, and now that I have more practice with it and I understand better how to use it, I think I will in the future for other works. So what I learned about underpainting is that it essentially does half the work for you. When you spend time on the underpainting, it's basically like doing half the painting to begin with, and then when you get to your actual colors, half the painting is kind of already done because you've laid in all the shadows and everything. I never took underpainting that seriously, I guess. I always heard about it, but I never really thought anything of it, and I didn't think that it was something I needed to do or something that would help my work, I suppose. But I decided to try it because I've been wanting to experiment with my art lately and enhance my skills, and I really just wanted to see if it would give a feeling to my artworks that I've been looking for in some of my pieces. And it did, and I have a better understanding now of why people like underpainting so much and where it can come in handy, and when to just, I guess, leave it behind maybe for some works. For this underpainting, I'm using Ultramarine Blue by Daniel Smith. This portrait was never meant to be anything fantastical. It was just a practice to see if I would like how underpainting looks with my work. The most interesting part about this piece was doing the hair, definitely. It was certainly different, but it wasn't bad. And like I said, I realized where underpainting can help. And actually currently I'm using underpainting in a larger piece of mine. It's actually the biggest piece that I've ever attempted to do, and I'm using gray as my underpainting tone. So as it turned out, this experiment was very fruitful for me. Because, like I said, this was filmed months ago, but I'm glad I did it because now I can use that experience in what I'm currently working on. I would have liked to have done more experimenting with this. I would have liked to have done more portraits and tried different blues and some warm reds and maybe some yellows as well to see what underpainting with those would look like. Unfortunately though, I didn't have enough time. I'm working on a few too many things at once, and right now I'm kind of just not in the headspace of doing studies, I suppose. I'm more so in the headspace of creating new things and getting old projects done. So that's kind of where I'm at, but that doesn't mean I'm totally neglecting this idea. I really want to come back to it and see what I can accomplish with different colored underpaintings. And actually, I do try to do some underpainting in the next video that you will see. Painting the hair took a lot of thinking. I had to figure out where to lay in the shadows with the blue, which is not something I'm used to, so I decided to pick a clear light source on an angle on her face, so this way I would have a more backlit part of her hair in the shadows, and I would have a more obvious light shining on her face and on the other half of her hair. Another thing I would really like to experiment with sometime in the future, because currently I'm just have too much going on, but I would definitely like to experiment with adding in colors that shouldn't necessarily be there but are there, like adding green and teal tones in the face and adding like yellow highlights and stuff like that, like just because I really want to see what it looks like. I really want to see the effect that it gives on my work, like, because I see it on other artists' work, especially, like, for example, Chris Hong is a great example of somebody who does this regularly, and I always admire how her pieces look. I just think that they are so beautiful, and I love her use of colors and unnatural colors in order to have the effect that she does, and I really want to try that with my own work, even though I've been too scared to, but I'll probably just do what I did here, like just whip up a quick portrait and try it out and see what happens. So here is the next day. I wasn't able to get this done in one day. I always think I can, and that usually never happens. I have a horrible time gauge of how long things will actually take me, and without failure, I always really underestimate the amount of time a piece is going to take, even my practice ones. Because when I do practice ones like this, like I have my, I guess, sloppy practices and my more refined practices, and this is a refined practice. So in my sloppy practices, that's what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about those quick little sketches. That's just quick poses and laying down some quick colors, just to have an idea of what kind of look I can expect. And then this is a refined practice where I try to put all my effort into making what I'm working on, even though it's a practice, look as good as an actual piece that I would create. And the reason I do this is because I find it very useful. I use my sloppy practices to determine if I'm even going to like what I want to experiment with. So this way I'm not wasting time on something that I'm just going to end up not liking. But if it's something, if I go and I like my sloppy practice, and even if I can see, just like some potential in it, I'll go and I'll do a refined practice. And in that refined practice, I will put as much effort into it as I would an actual piece of mine, because I think that's the best way to see how you like something with your work. So as a final overview, I do enjoy underpainting, and I can certainly see its value. I can understand why people do it and why so many artists push you to experiment with it and try it for yourselves. I wish I wasn't so stubborn and gave this a shot earlier, because like I said, I like the effect that it gives my pieces, and certainly I can see how it harmonizes an artwork in a different kind of way, how it sort of brings everything together as if it's all tied by the same band kind of thing. If that makes sense, I hope it does. But I can certainly see where, I guess, underpainting isn't needed. Like, there are certain works of mine that I just wouldn't use underpainting on, just because it's just not needed, especially if the work is like, really simple, or I'm not trying to capture too deep a mood, then I probably wouldn't use underpainting for something like that. But I do certainly like the effect, and I do plan on using it in many of my future works. I'm currently drawing a piece, and I plan on using a warm underpainting for that. A very yellowy, orangey kind of underpainting, because it's at the afternoon. The time frame is in the afternoon of this piece that I'm currently working on, and I can't wait to paint it for you guys and show you. But that's still quite a ways away. So yeah, I think that's all I really wanted to talk about for now. So I think I'll just let the music play for a bit and let you enjoy the time lapse. So like I said, I didn't end up finishing this work. Not really, at least. Like, I didn't take it to a totally, fully rendered completion, but I took it far enough that I could see how I liked it. I could see where I would do things differently. I could see what kind of effect it was giving my portrait. So I took it to a place where I understood what I needed from it, and so there wasn't really a point in finishing it completely because I didn't need it to be finished completely. And I know some artists will always say that you should finish all your pieces, even the practice ones, but you know, when you're working on a schedule, sometimes you don't always have the luxury of pouring more and more hours into something like a practice piece. So I think I got out of it what I needed, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. And like I said, I learned from it. I learned what I need to do differently. I learned what I can do better. And that's really the important part, in my opinion. I wasn't able to capture all of the end of the painting on camera, and I can't exactly remember why. I think it had something to do with the time of day, like it was getting later and later, and the video quality was just going down and down, but I just didn't stop working on it. I think that's the reason why the last bit of it wasn't recorded, and I'm sorry for that. Really, I truly am sorry, but I hope you enjoyed the video nonetheless, and I also hope this gives you some inspiration to try underpainting yourself. If you have the time, I definitely recommend it. So yeah, here is the finished piece. Well, like I said, not really finished, but as finished as I wanted it to be. I'm happy with it for what it is, and like I said, I learned from it what I needed to. So yeah, all in all, a good practice session, or study session, I guess. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you again in the future. Remember to like and subscribe if you like my content and what I do. Thank you, and bye.